some news that broke over the weekend that led me to, well, what is a sports talk show segment. So Steve Sarkisian received a new deal fresh off of winning the Big 12 championship and making the college football playoff. Both are things that took some time. Their first Big 12 championship at Texas is 2009, and their first trip to the college football playoff ever. Texas, who has been one of the most moneyed football programs in all the world for at least 15 years, right, has decided to reward its head coach with a contract that goes from $5.8 million annually to $10.3 million annually. That puts him just behind Dabo Swinney, making $10.8 million, and Kirby Smart, he's just behind at $10.7. We knew that Texas was going to reward Steve Sarkisian with an extension and likely a raise, but to nearly double his salary, I don't think many of us thought that that was in the cards. Now, given what college football landscape has been and how many guys have decided that they don't want to run programs, Jeff Hafley, Green Bay Packers, defensive coordinator. Chip Kelly left UCLA as head coach to be offensive coordinator at Ohio State, right? You want to keep your guy if you think your guy is there, right? If you can't, you want to try to put in position a guy that can succeed. So Jim Harbaugh, another example of a guy that winning the national championship was not enough to keep him at Michigan. So he wanted to go down to the Los Angeles Chargers to play away games at home, and they elevate Sharon Moore, right? Knowing all of this, I'm sure that Steve Sarkisian and his circle were like, hey, look, this could be us too. Can you reward us for what we were able to accomplish, not just last year, but what the future is going to look like, which is hard and tough in the SEC in this really unfriendly environment for college administrators. And they said, yeah, if it takes this much money for us to keep Steve Sarkisian right where he is, then that's what we are going to do. And I don't see a problem with that. I really don't. If anything, I'm wondering now, with this kind of a raise, were you able to put pressure back on Steve Sarkisian, right, rather than relieve pressure on Texas? And I think that was also the point. Cool, you want a raise? We'll give you a raise. You want an extension? We'll give you an extension. We're going to give you a raise and extension that is so heavy that our own fans are going to be like, okay, so now you got to win a national championship. You know that, right? You won the league. You made the college football playoff. Now you got to go win the whole damn thing. And I think that is an interesting question, especially as Lincoln Riley at USC is also embarking on a new journey. And because their finances are not public at USC, most people believe it's in the realm of $10 million what they're paying Lincoln Riley. So given what we know that both of these coaches are being paid, who needs to win the national title more? Steve Sarkisian or Lincoln Riley? That's tough. It's tough. It's tough because Lincoln Riley has made the playoff before, and the results have been the same as they are for Steve Sarkisian. Lincoln Riley has won the Big 12 before, and the results have been the same as they are for Steve Sarkisian. Lincoln Riley has also had supremely talented teams and a supremely talented quarterback 3 friggin' times. Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, Caleb Williams. All right? Quinn Ewers, pretty good. Arch Manning might be pretty good. Malik Murphy was fine. But what Steve Sarkisian also does is groom quarterbacks, right? Going back to his days at USC and even a little bit of his time at Washington. To go to Alabama, talk about what he's able to do with Mac Jones. So I think if I'm going to put this on someone, I think I'm going to put it on Texas simply because the fan base at Texas seems to want that national championship more than USC does, because at Texas we play football. Right? At USC, it's nice to be included with the Dodgers and the Rams and the Lakers when they're fine, right? But I think nobody's going to look at Lincoln Riley the way that they're looking at Steve Sarkisian now. That said, Lincoln Riley's operating like the fire underneath him has been lit, because outside of what we've seen Ohio State do, I think I've been impressed with what Lincoln has done in the offseason, particularly on the defensive side. So he brings in Danton Lynn, who coordinated defense at UCLA that might have a first-round pick at defensive end, but also held people to 18.4 points per game. That's the fewest points allowed by a UCLA defense in almost 20 years, right? Then he hired co-defensive coordinator Eric Henderson, who coached defensive line and will coach defensive line at USC, for the Rams, which means that he was helping groom Aaron Donald into being one of the greatest defensive tackles who ever lived, if not the greatest defensive tackle who ever lived. And then he added Matt Entz, who went 60-11 as a head coach at North Dakota State and won 2 national titles, to be his linebackers coach. Just those 3 dudes alone change how I view your defense, right? It's one thing to fire Alex Grinch. It's another thing to go and recruit these men to coordinate your defense, or to help coordinate your defense, and to help grow up D'Anton Lynn, whose daddy Anthony is pretty good coach himself. I think the flip side of that is also USC gave up 31 points last year. It's really difficult to win football games if you're giving up 30 or more. I mean, that was really the difference between 6-7 Oklahoma and 10-win Oklahoma, 2022, 2023. The defense matters. What I don't know we're going to see is Lincoln Riley going to change his offensive style to make it a little bit more manageable for the defense? Maybe, maybe not, right? And then, is Miller Moss your guy for all eternity? I know he set the Holiday Bowl on fire, and I love watching him play, and I love watching him run other people off. But it's one game, right? Is that the guy you want to roll with? Well, Malachi Nelson is gone, right? Caleb Williams gone in the draft. You're going to have to make this work with him, or you're going to have to go into the portal when the spring season opens up. And I think he still might, right? Because he is Lincoln Riley. He can still get a quarterback who might get a whiff that he's right there. I think the one other thing to add to this is Steve Sarkisian is going to have another year of Quinn Ewers, which is not a small thing. And Pete Kwiatkowski is not going anywhere. He's defensive coordinator. They had the dude set, and they got in enough transfers for me to believe they can contend for the SEC title, right? I don't know that USC is in a position to contend for the Big Ten championship. Now, if Steve Sarkisian goes and wins the national championship for Lincoln Riley's going to hear about it. If Lincoln Riley goes and wins the national championship for Steve Sarkisian does, well, they have shown they will pull the dump lever really quickly, no matter what they're paying you at the University of Texas. So I'll be curious. But as a verdict here, Steve Sarkisian needs to go and win a national championship.
If you like what you've seen, consider subscribing to the #1 college football show on YouTube, the Fox Sports app, or wherever you get your podcast.